So, good day to all and welcome to My Beti and UN75 India presents Talks with Women of Substance. Today we have Lina Ashar, a woman of substance, co-founder of Korroboree and founder emeritus of Kangaroo Kids and Billabong International Schools. She is also a happiness advocate. So, Lina, how happy are you today?
I think I'm always happy. Well, I don't think I'm always happy. I know I'm always happy. The beauty of the work that I have been doing over the last 30 years has taught me that we get to actually affect our own level of happiness. That's not to say nothing of challenge or nothing that we don't enjoy experiencing will not come our way. It'll all come up our way. It's all part of the human condition, pain, grief, and all of that. But still, we still have a huge ability, even with all of that, to affect our own happiness. And yeah, so I believe I've been really lucky in researching things that can keep children happy, especially because we have depression that's on an all-time rise across the world. I've learned skills to keep myself there as well.
Okay. So, as a woman and as a woman achiever, people would be looking up to you. So, what do you think makes you proud being a woman?
What makes me proud of being a woman? I think one is, we have the ability to hold a baby in our wombs and deliver that a soul to the world. I think that's really powerful, and we also have a huge role in nurturing that child. Hopefully, men all over the world are playing a much larger role in nurturing a baby, but we have a huge so in being able to have the ability to nurture a child, we actually get to impact the future of the world, because each one of us has the potential to bring into the world a peacemaker, a change maker, an innovator, a creator of new ways of being. So I think that's what, it makes me really happy to be a woman. I don't really, whenever I get asked to speak on women forums, I don't really differentiate so much between a woman and a man, because I kind of believe, we've been brought into this world with different roles, and we need to honor those roles in the sense that, we can be equal, but we can be very, very different. Yeah, so we've got our own roles. I always talk to women to embrace the feminine side, not to try and turn it into a masculine side, and to keep the alpha male testosterone genes to a minimum. We're so lucky. I think one of the greatest gifts we have is we naturally have a lot more oxytocin than men do, and that is that warm, fuzzy love. Feel-good chemical that naturally we have more of than men do, and I think that's a gift, and I think we just need to honor that gift.
Okay, since your contribution in school education is so immense, what is your view on stereotyping of children, that this is what boys should do, this is what girls should do, this is what you should wear, this is what in homes and schools?
So yes, that's going to take, I think, another 2, 3, 4 generations for us to, from a society and a cultural point of view, to create a shift. I mean, the thing is, historically, for years, we naturally thought men need to be tougher and women need, we naturally mollycoddle women, the girl child more, and we naturally ask the male, the boy to sort of man up. If they both fall down, we react and we respond very differently. That's sort of culturally and societally embedded in us. And it has been for generations to come. I mean, even if you look at fairy stories that have been written, it's always the woman who is vulnerable and frail and needs protection by a man who is handsome, and he's a prince, and he's got wealth and power, and he can swoop in on, in those days it was a white shining horse. Today it could be like a white shining Mercedes-Benz, swoop in and rescue his woman, and those are things that are embedded very deeply, 3, 4 generations to eradicate.
3, 4 generations. Okay. So again, mothers, great extent when teachers are women, they perpetuate that sit properly, do this, don't do this, etc., etc. So, and it starts maybe at home. So, how does the correction happen on this?
So that only happens through education. Interestingly, today I was speaking to lots and lots of teachers. I was taking them through an active learning methodology process. And sorry, I forgot your question. You're going to have to.
No, I am saying mothers usually tell children, keep telling girls.
Yeah, so we need a new way of thinking in society altogether. And I was telling the teachers today, because they kept calling me Lina ma'am, and I said, what we need is our contrarians. We need people who question the status quo. And that will only come through education. So I was asking them, don't call me Lina ma'am, because Lina ma'am and sir and all these kind of titles have come through a time when we didn't have independence, and we were made to use these terms so that we could maximize somebody else's power and minimize our own. So we're perpetuating that in the teaching, in the schooling education system, by calling principal ma'am and teacher ma'am, and then making children feel that they're not equals. They're below us. So all of these things are going to take some time, and education is going to be a great leveler of this. So unfortunately, in India, we've had, we've been in a trap, in a wealth trap for so long. And that wealth trap, the divide's been getting, deeper and wider, where, the rich have access to education and tuitions and colleges, and the poor don't. And what I am here now to do is to make sure that we use technology to make sure that we demonetize, we digitize, and we democratize education, and we open up access in the rural areas. Because only when we can open up access, when I can reach out to a child who's still a child, a girl child, and I can start telling her to think in contrarian ways. When she has children, she will then think in contrarian ways of saying, why do we do this to our female children and this to our male children?
Okay. And again, the same thing, fathers usually tend to have this idea that a girl coming late home and a boy coming late home are two different things.
So very interestingly, this happens to me. So I've got two brothers, an older one and a younger one, and they've taken over a business that my dad built, and I kind of built this one from scratch. And my dad's staying with me in India at the moment. They usually live in Australia, and I came home at 8 o'clock, and he was really sulking. And I just asked him a couple of times, "What's wrong?" And he said, "You didn't even message me. You didn't even tell me you were going to be late. You didn't even." And I said, "Pop, I just want you to flip that for a second. Just think I'm Heathen or Kamal, either of my brothers, coming home at this time. What would your response be? What would your reaction be? It would be different. Oh my God, you've come home so late. You must have worked so hard." Something that we're going to have to spend some time getting around.
No, but is it because the security of women is not maybe as good?
So if I don't have a girl, I have a boy, and I think it's a lot easier in today's day to have a boy than a girl, because
Yeah.
The protection challenges are different, and it's basically as simple as this. As my dad said to me, who's them, because in those days we didn't have mobile phones, so where are you going and what's the landline number, etc., etc. And I used to think of it as him trying to control me and not trying to control my brothers. And he just simply said to me one day, you are, the percentage likelihood of you being able to be raped is way higher than your brothers. So this sense of protection only comes from there. And the minute he said it like that, and the minute children understand that something that their parents ask them comes from a space of love and not control, they immediately comply. So I immediately said, I completely understand that. And from that day onwards, he always knew where I was going and what line number he could reach me on. Because he said, if you don't come home one day, I need to know where to start looking for you. And he says that just comes out of love, which it does. I mean, it's that's part of being a woman. Physically we are more frail than men, and we can get overpowered a lot more easily than a man can.
Yeah. And fathers usually love their daughters very much. So this comes naturally to fathers.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last question is, let's assume a deadline of 2030 and try and understand what would have changed in terms of women, their empowerment, equality, etc., by 2030.
I don't know if that much will change by 2030, but if you tell me, because we need at least 2 generations of being able to reach education to every economic strata of India, to have every woman in every rural area of India understand that it can be different. And, somebody who's in her 30s and 40s is barely in a rural area of India is just kind of working day to day to keep her family, in a survival state and fed and protected. So she's unlikely to be somebody who suddenly becomes a recipient of learning. But her daughter will. And as we reach this generation, we should, I think, in the next 20 years, start seeing some phenomenal change in India, in the way we address males and females.
So by 2040, you're optimistic that things would change a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lina. Thank you for talking to us. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.